Anything happens to Matthew out yonder, you better make sure that I'm stretched out right beside him, because if I ain't, I'm gonna get after you like thunder after light.
Western movies had a charm that no other genre could match. The dusty landscapes, thrilling gunfights, and those rugged cowboys who became larger-than-life figures on screen. The stars who ruled the Western era were more than just actors. They were symbols of bravery, adventure, and the wild spirit of the Old West. But then, one by one, they vanished. Some retired quietly, others faded away, and a few met tragic ends. What happened to these legends? Why did they disappear? Let's find out. The golden era of Westerns created unforgettable icons, but not all of them managed to stay in the limelight. Some had their careers cut short, some willingly walked away, and some were pushed out by an industry that had moved on. The dust has settled, but their stories remain, full of mystery, struggle, and sometimes even tragedy. Today we uncover the lives of these forgotten stars. Clint Walker was the perfect cowboy, tall, strong, and with a voice that could make anyone pay attention.
And here he is, Clint Walker.
Standing at a towering 6 feet 6 inches, he had the kind of presence that demanded respect, making him one of the most recognizable faces in the Western genre. He wasn't just another actor playing a cowboy. He embodied the very essence of the American West. His breakout role came in the TV series Cheyenne, where he played Cheyenne Body, a drifter and adventurer making his way through the rugged frontier. The show was an instant hit, running from 1955 to 1963 and turning Walker into a television superstar. Fans adored him, kids wanted to be like him, and Hollywood saw him as the next big thing in Western entertainment. At the peak of his career, Walker was everywhere: movies, guest appearances, interviews, and fan events. His deep, commanding voice and undeniable charisma made him one of the most beloved stars of the Western era. His physicality and rugged good looks only added to his appeal. He was a true cowboy, not just in front of the camera, but in real life too. He loved the outdoors, horses, and the independent spirit that came with the lifestyle he often portrayed on screen. However, as Hollywood began to change in the late 1960s and early 1970s, the Western genre started to lose its dominance. The days of cowboy heroes riding into town to save the day were fading, replaced by more modern storytelling and grittier anti-heroes. Studios were shifting their focus, and traditional Western stars found themselves struggling to stay relevant. Clint Walker was no exception. Despite his immense popularity, he started receiving fewer roles, and the ones that came his way weren't as grand as before. Walker, feeling sidelined and frustrated by the decline of Westerns, gradually stepped away from the spotlight. He never officially retired, but he also never chased roles desperately like some fading stars did. Instead, he accepted his fate with dignity, choosing to live life on his own terms. He made occasional appearances in films and television, including roles in The Dirty Dozen, 1967, and The Night of the Grizzly, 1966, but none recaptured Cheyenne's magic. By the 1980s and 1990s, Walker was primarily out of Hollywood, only returning for rare projects. His final known work was as a voice actor in the animated film Small Soldiers in 1998, where he lent his iconic voice to one of the characters. It was a quiet but fitting farewell to an industry that had once adored him. After that, he disappeared entirely from the public eye, preferring a private, peaceful life away from the cameras. Walker lived out his later years in comfort, spending time with his family and enjoying life's simple pleasures. Unlike many former stars who struggled with obscurity, he seemed content with his place in history. He knew he had left a lasting mark on the industry, and his legacy was secure. In 2018, Clint Walker passed away at the age of 90. His death marked the end of an era for those who had grown up watching his adventures on screen. While Hollywood had moved on from the golden age of Westerns, fans never forgot the towering cowboy with the deep voice and the unshakable presence. His story serves as a reminder of how fame in Hollywood can be fleeting, but true legends never fade. Even today, whenever someone watches an old episode of Cheyenne, they can still feel the magic that Clint Walker brought to the screen.
Anything happens to Matthew out yonder, you better make sure that I'm stretched out right beside him, because if I ain't, I'm gonna get after you like thunder after lightning.
Ken Curtis, best known as Festus Hagen from Gunsmoke, had a unique charm that made him a fan favorite. He wasn't just another Western actor. He brought something different to the screen. With his scruffy beard, twangy accent, and offbeat humor, Festus became one of the most beloved characters in television history. But unlike many of his co-stars, Curtis didn't start his career in front of the camera. His journey to stardom was far from ordinary. Before he was an actor, he was a singer. Curtis had a natural talent for music, and before Hollywood came calling, he pursued a career as a vocalist. He even performed with the Sons of the Pioneers, one of the most famous Western bands of all time, known for their harmonies and cowboy ballads. Curtis's smooth voice fit perfectly with the group, and he recorded several songs with them that are still cherished by Western music lovers today. His early music career put him in the company of legends, and for a while, it seemed like he was destined to make his mark in the music world, rather than in Hollywood. But fate had other plans. Curtis eventually transitioned to acting, and Gunsmoke truly made him a household name. Introduced initially as a guest star, his character, Festus Hagen, quickly became a fan favorite. Festus was scrappy, rough around the edges, and had a comedic side that balanced the show's more serious moments. What made Festus stand out was his ability to be both tough and lovable at the same time. He wasn't your typical clean-cut cowboy hero. He was a bit of an underdog, and audiences loved him for it. Gunsmoke ran for 20 seasons, making it one of the longest-running TV shows in history. Curtis joined the show in its 8th season until the series ended in 1975. By then, he was deeply ingrained in the hearts of fans. But unlike many actors who struggled to find work after being typecast in Western roles, Curtis didn't try to fight against it. He understood that Hollywood was changing, and rather than desperately chasing new roles, he returned to his first love, music. Much Festus meant to the fans and never took that for granted. Even though he had stepped away from Hollywood, he still found joy meeting those who appreciated his work. Ken Curtis lived a peaceful life in his later years, content with the career he had built. He had experienced success in music and acting. Rather than fading away in bitterness like some forgotten stars, he simply shifted his focus back to his original passion. He wasn't interested in chasing roles that didn't suit him, nor did he feel the need to remain in the spotlight. He had carved out a unique path for himself and followed it on his own terms. In 1991, Curtis passed away at the age of 74. His death was a sad moment for Western fans, but his legacy lived on. While he may have disappeared from Hollywood's radar, he never truly left the hearts of his fans. To this day, reruns of Gunsmoke keep his memory alive, and those who hear his music are reminded of his immense talent. Ken Curtis wasn't just an actor or a singer. He was a true entertainer who brought joy to countless people through his performances. Whether through song or screen, he left an unforgettable mark on the Western genre, proving that sometimes disappearing from Hollywood doesn't mean disappearing from history. Robert Horton had it all: the looks, the talent, and the undeniable charm that made him the perfect leading man. In the late 1950s and early 1960s, he was a household name, best known for his role as Flint McCullough in the hit television series Wagon Train. The show was a massive success, capturing the spirit of the Old West and drawing millions of viewers each week. Horton's rugged good looks and charismatic screen presence made him a fan favorite, and he quickly became one of the biggest stars of the Western genre. For a while, it seemed like nothing could slow him down. But Hollywood is unforgiving, and even the brightest stars can fade. After several successful seasons on Wagon Train, Horton made a shocking decision. He left the show. Many actors might have held on to such a successful role for as long as possible, but Horton had other plans. He wanted to avoid being typecast as just another cowboy and hoped to branch out into other genres. It was a bold move, but unfortunately, it didn't work out as he had expected. After leaving Wagon Train, Horton struggled to find another role that matched the level of success he had previously enjoyed. He took on various television roles and even landed the lead in another Western series, A Man Called Shenandoah, in 1965. However, the show failed to capture the same magic as Wagon Train and was canceled after just one season. It was a significant blow to Horton's career. He had gambled on breaking away from his Western persona, but found himself in a slump. When television didn't offer the opportunities he wanted, Horton turned to theater. He performed in stage productions, including musicals, and while he was a talented singer, his theater career never brought him the same level of stardom he had once known. Unlike some of his Western co-stars who transitioned smoothly into other roles, Horton struggled to maintain his place in Hollywood. The industry had moved on, and he was slowly being left behind. By the 1970s, film and television were changing. The era of classic westerns was fading, and newer genres were taking over. Like many other Western stars, Horton found that the roles weren't there anymore. Instead of desperately clinging to fame, he chose to walk away. He gradually disappeared from the entertainment industry, choosing a life away from the cameras. While many actors struggle to be forgotten, Horton seems to accept it. He lived a private life, far from the Hollywood spotlight, and rarely made public appearances. Despite stepping away from acting, Horton remained beloved among Western fans. Reruns of Wagon Train kept his name alive, and die-hard Western lovers still considered him one of the greats. He made occasional appearances at Western conventions and fan events, where he was always warmly received. However, it was clear that his Hollywood days were behind him, and he had no interest in making a comeback. In one rare interview, Horton admitted that leaving Hollywood was his biggest regret. He had thought he could return to the industry on his own terms, but the reality was far different. Hollywood, once so welcoming, had shut its doors on him. He realized too late that sometimes it's better to hold on to a good thing rather than gamble on the unknown. His decision to leave Wagon Train had cost him his career, and he never fully recovered from it. Robert Horton passed away in 2016 at 91, quietly and without much fanfare. His death was a sad moment for fans of the classic Western era, as it marked the loss of yet another legend from Hollywood's golden days. While he may not have enjoyed a long-lasting career at the top, his impact on the Western genre remains undeniable. His portrayal of Flint McCullough is still considered one of the best performances in Western TV history, and his work continues to be appreciated by new generations of fans. Horton's story serves as a reminder of how unpredictable Hollywood can be. One day, you're a star, and the next, you're forgotten. His career was a tale of ambition, success, and regret, proof that even the most talented actors can struggle to find their place in an ever-changing industry. But despite his regrets, one thing is certain: Robert Horton will always be remembered as a true Western icon. James Drury was another Western icon who ruled the small screen with The Virginian.
It's not too often a movie star comes to North Dakota. Mark Charter is here to tell us who it is. Mark?
Monica, legendary James Drury from the first 90-minute color Western TV series The Virginian is making appearances at the Mandan Rodeo Days this weekend.
It's like apple pie and ice cream.
James Drury is breaking out his cowboy boots and spending some time making appearances and taking in all that Mandan Rodeo Days has to offer.
You go to a small town rodeo, you get dirt in your teeth, from all the action that's happening out there.
Drury has spent a good portion of his career making the life of a cowboy come alive.
For years, he played the strong and silent cowboy, winning hearts with his tough persona. But once the show ended, so did his Hollywood career. Instead of fighting for roles, Drury took a different path. He embraced real cowboy life. He focused on ranching and farming, leaving the glitz and glamour behind. Fans would rarely see him on TV again. He lived a long, peaceful life in the countryside, far from Hollywood, and passed away in 2020. He proved that some cowboys don't just play the role, they live it. Dale Robertson was a man who hated Hollywood politics.
I'm Dale Robertson. As an Oklahoman, I'm particularly pleased to introduce the first episode in the 5-part series celebrating our past, Oklahoma Passage.
Unlike many actors who played by the rules to stay relevant, Robertson didn't care. He openly spoke against the fake nature of the industry and refused to be part of it. He did things his way, and when Hollywood stopped offering him roles, he left without hesitation. He moved to Oklahoma, where he focused on horse breeding and ranching. He made rare public appearances but never returned to acting. He passed away in 2013, remembered as a man who walked away from fame on his own terms. Audie Murphy's story is unlike any other. Before he was a Western star, he was a real-life war hero, the most decorated American soldier of World War II. His bravery on the battlefield was legendary, and Hollywood turned him into a movie star. He became famous for playing tough, fearless cowboys. But behind the scenes, Murphy struggled. The horrors of war never left him, and he suffered from PTSD. Hollywood offered an escape, but it wasn't enough. His career declined, and in 1971, he tragically died in a plane crash. His life was a mix of triumph and tragedy, proving that even heroes have battles they can't win. Hollywood's Western stars were once the kings of the big screen, but time was not always kind to them. Some faded into obscurity, others left on their own, and a few met tragic ends. But one thing is certain: their legacy lives on. Their movies, their performances, and their larger-than-life personas continue to inspire fans even today. The golden age of Westerns may be over, but these cowboys will never truly disappear. As the sun sets on their stories, one thing remains clear: legends never die. They ride on, in the hearts of those who still remember the wild, thrilling world of Westerns. And as long as their movies play, they will always be out there, somewhere in the dusty landscapes of Hollywood's golden past. If you love classic Westerns and legendary stars, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more amazing Hollywood stories. Hit the bell icon for updates.